My sister said if you're not going to babysit 4 kids then don't even come, and our parents agreed with her right away, so I texted back cool. Then my $15,000 isn't showing up to Christmas either, I canceled. My name is Anna James, I'm 32 years old, and until this year I didn't realize how easily a family can mistake generosity for obligation, how quickly love can turn into labor if you let it. I learned that lesson the night my sister made a toast about me. It was supposed to be a simple family dinner, the kind where everyone talks over each other, where my mom pretends to hate store-bought desserts, and where my sister Heather always finds a way to make herself the center of gravity. I'd barely sat down with a slice of dry turkey when Heather lifted her wineglass with a theatrical sigh. If Anna's not going to babysit the kids, she declared, then she shouldn't bother coming to Christmas. She said it lightly, like she was announcing the weather. Everyone laughed. Even my dad. No one looked at me. I felt the words hit me like a slap, sharp, humiliating, and delivered with such casual cruelty that I wondered if I imagined it, but the way everyone kept eating told me I didn't. My mom didn't even blink. My brother stared at his plate. It wasn't a suggestion. It wasn't a conversation. It was an instruction. In the worst part, I was paying for the entire trip. Every last detail, the $15,000 luxury cabin, the upgraded flights, the SUV rental, the lift tickets, the spa reservations, the gourmet grocery delivery came out of my pocket. Because every year, without fail, someone had a reason. Heather and her husband had a rough financial year. My brother didn't want to start his relationship in debt. My parents just redid the kitchen again. But I'm single. No kids. Good career. So I became the default wallet, the holiday ATM, the dependable one. And every year, I fell for the same line. Anna, you're so generous. It means so much to the family. But this was beyond audacity. They wanted me to fund their perfect Christmas getaway and then stay behind in the cabin with 4 screaming children while they went skiing, drank wine, and soaked in a hot tub I paid for. I wasn't even being included in the fun. I was being assigned a role. The help. I didn't say a word during dinner. Years of conditioning had trained me well. Don't make waves. Don't ruin the mood. Don't be dramatic. So I smiled. I helped with dishes. I hugged everyone goodbye. But something small and sharp snapped inside me during the drive home. A fissure. A break in the quiet, obedient version of myself I'd maintained for decades. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't poor wording. This was planned. They had talked about this without me, decided it without me, assumed I'd accept it without question, and not one of them thought to ask if I was okay with it. At 1 a.m., after pacing the length of my apartment twice, I called. The one person in my family who actually sees me. My Aunt Linda. I didn't even get halfway through the story before she sighed and said, "They don't deserve you, Anna, and they definitely don't deserve your money." Something in me studied at that, so I opened the family group chat, scrolled past the excited planning, messages, the itinerary links, the packing lists, and I typed, "Cool." Then my $15,000 isn't showing up to Christmas either. Then I called the travel agent. One by one, I dismantled the entire trip. Cabin, canceled, flights, refunded, lift tickets, voided, rental car, gone, groceries, deleted. Everything evaporated with a few confirmations and one credit card reversal. It was all under my name, my account, my responsibility. They thought it was easier that way, apparently easier for them. I sat back on my couch and waited. It didn't take long. My sister called first, twice, then a text. What the hell is going on? Then my mom, Anna, this is not the time for this drama. My brother, you're ruining Christmas for everyone. Not a single apology, not one person asked why I did it. All they cared about was the trip falling apart. But for the first time in years, I felt calm, steady, silent, but powerful. They messed with the wrong sister. By sunrise, I had 14 missed calls, more texts, more outrage. Still no accountability. That evening, my mom sent the final blow. "Anna, since you clearly don't want to be part of this Christmas, we've decided it's best you stay home. We'll talk in the new year. Love, Mom." No apology, no understanding, just quiet exile. It hurt in a way I didn't expect. Not because I wanted to go, I didn't. But because of how easily they cut me out the moment I stopped being useful. I forwarded the message to Aunt Linda. Her response came in 5 seconds. Good. You're spending Christmas with me, and you're not lifting a finger. And just like that, my Christmas plans changed. But what I didn't know, what none of us knew, was that everything was about to unravel far beyond a canceled vacation. Christmas morning didn't smell like stress for the first time in my adult life. Instead, it smelled like cinnamon rolls the size of my face, pine branches, from my aunt's backyard, and butter melting on fresh biscuits. Aunt Linda's house wasn't big, nothing like the glossy rental cabins I usually paid for, but it was warm, it felt lived in, safe, real. I patted into the kitchen in thick socks, half asleep, and she slid a plate toward me without looking up from her pan. Eat, she said, you're too thin. Stress makes you skinny, and your family has been your personal gym for years. I snorted, but there was truth in that laugh. The last few days were the calmest I'd felt in years. Quiet mornings, no guilt-tripping text, no last-minute shopping list someone expected me to handle, no whispered comments about me being the responsible one. But even in the peace, a part of me waited for the next hit, and sure enough, it came. My phone buzzed on the counter, a message from Heather. Your sister texted me last night too. My head whipped toward her. What did she want? She asked what time you were driving over. And you said. Linda smiled. I told her you were already home. Home. The word landed harder than it should have. No one had ever used that word about me during the holidays. I was always somewhere else, wherever the family needed me most. Their cabin, their house, their errands, their obligations. The last time I spent a holiday in my own space was, I couldn't even remember. But now, this little house in the countryside was home. Not because it was mine, but because I finally belonged somewhere without being used. I put my phone face down. I'm not responding. Good, she said. Silence is a language your family has never bothered to learn. By noon, my cousin Jen, our unofficial family news reporter, FaceTimed me. Cheeks red from cold. You're not going to believe this, she said. They rebooked everything, but it's a disaster. I raised a brow. What now? The new cabin is tiny, like 2 bedrooms tiny. Your sister's husband is sleeping in the car because the kids won't stop screaming. I laughed into my sleeve. And your brother's girlfriend brought some vegan roast thing, and your mom said, it smelled like a wet sock, so she's been locked in the bedroom for hours. I choked. Jen continued. And your dad, get this, tried to deep fry a turkey on the deck. Nearly started a forest fire. I had to mute myself to keep from howling. And Heather, oh she's raging, Jen said, accusing everyone of being incompetent. Of ruining her Christmas. Of letting Anna ambush the family, her words. Ambush, I repeated, licking cinnamon glaze off my thumb. I like that. Makes me sound powerful. Honestly, you kind of are, Jen said. They're falling apart without you. A strange, quiet sadness hit me then. They truly built every holiday around my contributions, my money, my time, my effort. And without me, everything cracked open. There wasn't even a foundation. Jen lowered her voice. And still no apology, not even close. I nodded. I didn't need the reminder. Because I already knew. Not one of them missed me. They missed the convenience of me. That evening, I curled up on the sofa with a fuzzy blanket and watched Aunt Linda wrap gifts with her grandkids. They played Christmas music and argued about tape. The boys kept switching gift tags as a prank. Nobody was yelling. Nobody was assigning blame. It was chaotic, but in a way that made your chest warm instead of tight. I sank into the cushions and realized I wasn't missing anything. For once, I wasn't the outsider in my own family. Later, after the kids went to bed, Linda and I sat by the fire, sipping wine from mismatched mugs. She stared into the flames for a long time before she spoke. They're never going to change Anna. I swallowed. I know. Not unless someone makes them. I looked at her. What do you mean? She didn't answer right away. Just took another sip, then said, You've protected them from consequences your whole life. Time to let life introduce itself. I didn't fully understand yet. But the next morning, when I found her at the dining table, sealing a large envelope, something cold slid down my spine. What's that? I asked. She smiled. Slow and dangerous. Just a little holiday gift for your sister. What kind of gift? She handed me a copy, a spreadsheet, organized, color-coded, itemized. Everything I'd paid for in the last 5 years. Trips, groceries, utilities, emergencies, car repairs, Christmases, vacations, birthday parties, rentals, tickets, 5 years of financial support. Total, 147, 3 dom. My breath caught. You kept all this? You sent me the receipts, and I may see, she said simply. I kept them because one day you'd need proof. Since they don't listen to you, I figured I'd give them something they can't ignore. My phone buzzed. Heather, why would you do this to us, Anna? My brother. You blindsided everyone. You should have talked to us privately. I didn't know you paid for all of it. I'm sorry, that wasn't fair. Silence followed. A heavy, echoing silence. Then at 11:13 p.m., Heather sent the message I never expected. I need to talk to you, please. Aunt Linda peered over her glasses. You broke the machine, she said. Now they're all trying to find the plug. Heather arrived alone. No kids, no husband, no dramatic entrance like she usually made when she wanted an audience. Just her, arms wrapped around herself, shoulders trembling. In a way that made her look small. So much smaller than the woman who once declared, I should stay behind and babysit while she enjoyed a Christmas vacation I paid for. I stood in the doorway of Aunt Linda's house, blocking the entrance. The way you do with someone you aren't sure you're ready to let in. She stopped a few feet away from me. For the first time in our lives, Heather looked unsure of her words. I know I'm the last person you want to see, she whispered, but thank you for meeting me. Her voice cracked on the last word. I stepped aside, but only enough to let her pass the threshold. Aunt Linda was deliberately nowhere in sight. She knew I needed this moment without an audience. Heather stood in the living room like she was afraid to sit. Say what you came to say, I told her calmly. She took a shaky breath. I didn't know. Her voice was raw. I didn't know how much you paid for. I didn't know how long. I didn't know we leaned on you that badly. She wiped her eyes with the sleeve of her sweater. I thought the spreadsheet was wrong, she admitted. So I checked my old emails, and I found the receipts. I saw your name on every booking, every payment, every confirmation. She looked at me, her face pale. You weren't exaggerating, Anna. It's disgusting. How much we put on you. I swallowed the hard lump climbing my throat, but stayed silent. She reached into her bag and handed me an envelope. A real physical envelope. Heavy enough to mean something. Light enough not to fix anything. Inside was a check. Not the full amount, but more than I had ever expected to see from her. It's what we could pull together for now, she said. I'll keep paying you back. Monthly. Whatever it takes. I needed you to know I'm not pretending anymore. I didn't take the check. I set it on the coffee table. Let it sit there like evidence of a long overdue shift. I'm not angry because you leaned on me, I said finally. I'm angry because no one ever asked if I wanted to be leaned on. Heather nodded, tears sliding down her cheeks. I know. And when you stopped, we fell apart. Because we built everything on your support. And that's on us. Then her voice broke completely. I miss you, Anna. Not the money. It hit me harder than I expected. Not because it erased the pain, nothing could do that quickly, but because it was the first time she'd spoken to me like a sister and not a resource. She wiped her face again, embarrassed. Can I hug you? I hesitated. Then I nodded. Her arms wrapped around me as if she were holding on to something fragile. And for the first time in a long time, I let myself be held. When she left, the house fell quiet again. Aunt Linda appeared a minute later, holding 2 mugs of tea. How to go? She asked softly. Better than I thought, I admitted. She nudged the envelope on the table with her knuckle. You don't have to cash it yet. Let it be a symbol for now. I smiled faintly. Yeah. 2 hours later, my phone buzzed again. Mom, Anna, your father and I would like to come by. Just to talk. No pressure. I showed Aunt Linda. She arched a brow. Good. Let them do the work now. The next day, their car pulled into the driveway. They sat inside for 5 full minutes before finally coming to the door. My dad's face was tight. My mom's eyes were red. For the first time in forever, they didn't arrive with gifts or food. or that performative cheer. They always used to gloss over deeper issues. They just looked human. I opened the door but didn't invite them in immediately. My mom swallowed hard. "Anna, we're sorry." The words hung between us like frost in the air. Dad stepped forward. "Your aunt sent us everything. We didn't know. We should have paid attention. We should have asked questions. We should have." His voice broke. My father's voice, someone who rarely cried. "Mom," gathered herself. "We didn't realize how much we expected from you, how unfair it was." She looked down. "I think we just got used to you saving us." I inhaled slowly. "Being responsible doesn't mean I exist to carry everyone." "I know," she whispered, "and it won't happen again. We want to fix this." There was something different this time. Not guilt-tripping, not manipulation, just raw discomfort of people finally seeing their own reflection. I stepped aside. "You can come in." Inside, we talked for nearly 2 hours. About boundaries, about expectations, about how things would work from now on. I told them I wasn't their safety net. I wasn't the default babysitter. I wasn't the wallet. If we were going to rebuild anything, it had to be with equal footing, transparency, and respect. My mom cried. My dad apologized again. And for once in my life, I felt heard. Later that night, after they left, I finally picked up my phone to check the one unread message I hadn't opened all day. It was from someone else. "Elias? Hey, just checking in. I know the holidays get messy for you. If you need anything, I'm here." Elias, my boyfriend, had been out of town visiting his mom. I hadn't told him everything yet. But I would. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't afraid someone would leave when I said no. I typed back, "I'm okay, really. I'll tell you everything soon." Then I set my phone down, leaned back, and let the quiet of the house settle around me. For the first time in decades, it wasn't a lonely quiet. It was peaceful, earned, owned. I hadn't lost my family. I'd simply stopped performing for them. And in doing so, I finally found myself.